Well, g'day everybody. Welcome back to, we're going to have a real big show here today. You know why? Because we've got lots going on. Things are happening. Because the cannabis universe, Ed, if you haven't noticed, is firing upon all cylinders. And we're talking a 12-cylinder engine here.
Just want to point out, just let's not get too exuberant here.
Woohoo!
Weed, W-E-D, is about a 75 RSI right now. Just saying.
Kind of overbought.
Well,
even right now?
I think.
Yeah, well, let's start with that chart even before we go to the show lineup today.
Okay.
Quickly. There it is. I've got it up.
Okay, look at just take a look at what do you see?
Whoa, restart. Not now. How about tomorrow?
Don't do it. Don't you do it.
Yeah, no.
Don't you do it.
No. Okay, look at that. Ba-boom. Bob is your uncle. Okay, so there's this clear case with the RSI above 75. That's the moment at which it reversed. You see the Bollinger Bands widen out, and there's the outcome. Technical analysis.
And we're seeing a little stall. I wouldn't say stalling, but you know what? This is where you got to be a little careful, I think.
In weed.
Well, in that specific one, right? But if that one comes down, that may suck down.
Yeah, okay. Well, this is what we're dealing with here today, people. This is why we're a little bit on fire. We're a little bit jittery. You know, the market's going crazy. The Dow is up. The S&P's up. The stocks are down. What the hell's going on? Anyways, we've got a really big show here lined up today. What is happening today? Let's see. Wouldn't you love to know? Well, Ben Smith is going to be here at 3:15, and we're going to talk to Ben about some of the really smart things he's been writing. Of course, news nurse Ricky Gerwitz is going to be here to read the headline news at 3:05. Ryan Brown is going to join us at 3:35 from NBUD. NBUD is a company that is one of those sleepers that you just don't know what's going to happen. Ben Ward is here at 3:45 from Wayland Group to talk about their recent sale of 50% of their international assets. We're going to have a little feature on Weed Stocks 101. And then at 4:10, Scott Hurd is going to be here. He's the CEO of Westleaf Cannabis. And as always, please feel free to send in your comments to either the YouTube channel or Twitter or Facebook or LinkedIn or Periscope or Instagram. Basically anything. Send in your questions. Anyways, here's Ricky with the news.
Thanks, James, and here are the headlines moving markets today. OrganiGram Holdings Inc. has partnered with Canada's Smartest Kitchen, a leader in food product development, to expand the company's ongoing research and development related to edible cannabis products. OrganiGram's initial strategic product development work with CSK will focus on the chocolate confectionery market, along with a detailed look at current Canadian flavor, color, and texture trends. The research conducted by CSK will explore the different expectations and needs of medical and recreational cannabis consumers. KushCo Holdings Inc. has entered into definitive agreements with investors for the purchase and sale of 6.4 million shares of common stock at a par value 0.001 cents per share, and warrants to be purchased up to 3 million shares of common stock at a combined offering price of $5.25 per share. The warrants will have an exercise price of $5.75 per share, will be immediately exercisable, and will expire 5 years from the date of issuance. The gross proceeds of the offering will be approximately $34 million. Trulieve Cannabis Corp announced that the company founders have entered into voluntary lockup agreements with the company in respect of 75 million subordinate voting shares. That represents 68.6% of the subordinate voting shares of the company, assuming the conversion of all issued and outstanding multiple voting and super voting shares of the company. The voluntary lockup agreements stipulate that these shareholders will not offer to sell, contract to sell, or otherwise dispose of any Trulieve securities, or enter into any transaction to such effect, directly or indirectly, in addition to other restrictions on or before July 25, 2019. National Access Cannabis Corp announced that its wholly owned subsidiary, NAC Prairies Limited, will acquire all of the issued and outstanding shares of New Leaf Emporium. The total purchase price is $1.6 million, comprised of a cash payment of $1.2 million from NAC Prairies and the issuance of 649,880 common shares of NAC, which have an aggregate dollar value of approximately $400,000. With 21 stores in Alberta and Manitoba, NAC is larger by store count than any private or public cannabis retailer in Canada, according to provincial licensing statistics. Biome Grow Inc. and its Nova Scotia-based brand Highland Grow Inc. has secured a second purchase order with the Nova Scotia Liquor Corporation this past week. The second shipment associated with this new purchase order left the High Grove facility Tuesday morning and is expected to be on store shelves later this week. Micron Waste Technologies Inc., a development of waste treatment systems for food and cannabis waste, announced the appointment of Alfred Wong to President and Chief Executive Officer effective immediately. Mr. Wong succeeds CEO Rav Mlate, and he will be joining James on the show tomorrow. Tilt Holdings Inc. announced today that it's closed the acquisition of Blackbird Holdings Corp., previously announced on December 6, 2018. Blackbird is a distribution company providing logistics, operations, and software solutions for each touchpoint in the cannabis supply chain. Consideration paid for the acquisition is approximately $50 million US, consisting of approximately $5 million US of cash-based consideration and approximately $45 million US of security-based consideration comprised of 161,000 compressed shares in the capital of Tilt and a deemed issue price of $278.48. And that's your news for today.
We're back.
We're back, Ed. Turkey in every pot.
Our chicken every pot.
Turkey in every oven.
Let them eat cake.
Yorkshire pudding on every plate. Would you like some more gravy?
With or without au jus?
Au jus.
Oh, no, that's
Voulez-vous some jus?
Au jus means with juice.
Okay, what is this meaning, you're wondering? Absolutely nothing to do with this show. Cannabis markets, cannabis stocks, the world. We don't even know what we're saying to each other anymore. But it's been a crazy day, don't you think, Ed?
Well, we've been busy. We've been busy.
Yeah, you're always busy.
I apologize to all the people that tried to reach me today. None.
Yeah.
And
none. I'm going to pull up some market movers here.
Okay.
We're going to start off with the let's start off with the lowly CSE. Now, if you look there, FSD Pharma once again has become the high trader every day now for the past few days.
They're trading up a storm there.
14 million shares traded today. Stock lost a penny.
Yeah.
Poor little penny.
3%.
Then there's this Canara Biotech. The symbol is love. Now, we haven't looked into Canara Biotech yet, but the symbol begs one to question just how much love can one have for a cannabis company that one's never heard of?
I never heard of it.
No, me either. Well, so there we go. We have an obligation. Third highest trader on the CSE, Bar Resources, 12.5 cents. We don't know what's going on there either. New Ran Wireless. Now, this is a 9-cent stock. This stock has been sucking hind tit for going on years. And Martin, j'oubliais, no, I forget, j'ai désolé, but man, you guys have such a great business, and I'm just wondering, when is the pedal going to hit the metal with New Ran? These guys put wireless systems powered by the sun.
Metal to the pedal. No, I got it wrong.
Okay, metaphors are not us.
Okay.
All right then.
Yeah.
Okay, so now let's look at some of the big movers on the TSX Venture. And this is just preliminary. We're going to revisit this at 4 o'clock when the market's
Lots going on here.
Yes.
There's room for everybody here.
Room for everybody. We'll start with, now we won't start with a 1.5 center. Data Matrix, artificial intelligence. Now, Data Matrix, an interesting company that keeps spinning off companies, none of whom seem to be really getting any traction. Now, these are friends of ours, and so I'm really thinking that at some point, something's got to give here, boys. When is this thing going to take off? I know, you're going to say the same thing that all the mining people say. It'll take off as soon as cannabis dies a slow and painful death that it deserves to, because it's sucking all the investor interest in the universe. Namaste Technologies is the fourth highest trader, 2.9 million shares traded as of this almost end of day, up 3 cents to $1.38. There were some comments earlier about the CEO, Sean Dollinger, selling some stock. Just to put it out there, not that I'm apologizing for Sean Dollinger, and they are going to be one of our marquee clients in very short order here, but CEOs do take money off the table occasionally. Is that not a factor?
Well, look, let's say that's all you have is your holding in your company.
Yeah.
I think it's prudent to take a little bit of money, put it to the right.
Exactly.
'Cause-
Diversify.
Diversify
Your holdings.
Yeah,
Anyways,
maybe,
that applies as much to CEOs as it does to everybody else. So just because the CEO sells a little stock, that's not a big
Yeah, it's
thing.
not
The
a lot of
CEO
stock.
sells all his stock
Yeah.
in a heartbeat. No, that's something.
Yeah.
Not the case with Namaste. So overall, it's a wash. RYU Apparel. Now, this was a stock that, man, it had such a bunch of hype associated with it many years
What's it
ago.
doing today?
It's 9 cents. It's 9 cents.
I think there's about 400 million shares in that thing
It's
now.
such an unfortunate story.
I
Like
don't-
the Leone family out there in Vancouver got involved with it. They didn't see exactly the stripe of tiger they were falling into bed with that being on the corner of Howe Street and Hastings, but could have told you. Never mind. Not that we don't have our own, fair collection of
Dogs.
ponies.
I look at
miniature horses.
the four indices of that
Spit it out, Ed.
have the name Midas letter associated with it. Only the lonely.
Only
No,
the
the big index is up.
Yeah.
The other three are down.
Yeah.
So-
So once again, it's a day of large caps.
It's money, I think, starting to move into the ones that are getting the news, right? The big ones are getting news. The big ones.
The big ones.
Big boys.
Lots of news. There's quite a bit of news. Like, look at Aurora. Aurora's been on fire, even acting in a very contrary fashion.
You snagged that right at the bottom, didn't you?
I did,
Got
but-
a little early.
I know, but
Yeah. You know what?
I'm back in it.
The bus was on its way to
I'm back in
the
it.
promised land. Oh, you did?
Yeah, I couldn't resist. You know why? Because I remember that there's earnings coming. Earnings. So yes, I'm paid a higher price. I paid a price for being a little hasty on the trigger. Anyways, enough of that. Let's take a look at the TSX, the senior market. And there's Aurora Cannabis topping tonight's Eyewitness News in Cheektowaga. No, that's not right. Aurora Cannabis up 44 cents, $9.70 on 21.9 million shares. Aurora is once again inhaling about double the volume of the average large cap, if not
I'm going to put up a
significantly
chart of
more.
Aurora right now.
And it's not just because we create spectacular content on their behalf, though that has a lot to do with it, we're going to say. But let's just face it, the world is becoming aware.
Is my NDI on there? Yes, it is.
NDI.
Look at this. Okay, so look. Oh my goodness.
Look
what
at
do
that
I see?
chart. Look at that chart. What do you see, Ed?
Well, I'll tell you what I see. And this is, well, that's a 10-day chart. First of all, I got to go backwards. I want to get a 3-month up. You know what? 10 days good.
Yeah, 10 days. 10 days.
So here's what I see. You have a clear. Now there's a line.
Boy,
Here's your channel.
even I can draw that one.
Look at that channel. Now, we broke the channel, and this will often happen. That bottom line, the bottom channel, is now resistance. And so far, that's the case. It could even start to go up here, but as long as it doesn't get back through that line, this pattern has now been broken. All I'm saying here is this is sort of the new channel,
Okay.
which is still up, but not with
So the degree of incline has decreased.
That's correct, which suggests more supply coming in to meet the demand.
Oh, well, that's a good thing.
Well,
because otherwise you end up with a big stock spike, and a spike always results
maybe
in
we
a
already
drop.
had a big stock spike though.
Okay.
676. You snagged this thing right at the bottom.
That was a miracle, Ed. I'd like to claim credit as some sort of genius, but I'm sorry.
I'd like to give credit where credit is due, but I'm not so sure I should be giving it to you.
It's just a coincidence.
Okay.
It's just a coincidence.
Well, I appreciate your
I bought it
honesty.
at the beginning of them resuming our client relationship, knowing that the stock was going to go up.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah.
I should have bought more, and obviously, once again, I own too much.
Maybe you should have sold half.
I own too much of what is not going up enough, and I own not enough of that which is climbing most.
I noticed the Juju was 11 bid again today.
Yeah, well,
Is it-
Juju's got big news coming apparently in the next couple of weeks, I'm told.
Well, we
I've
were
heard.
told yesterday.
We were told by the man himself.
I interviewed him.
I wasn't even there.
No, but you couldn't because you
I
were.
was over there. I was in another country.
Yeah. Okay. Let's look at. Shall we look at Juju?
Oh, we got a comment up from one of our viewers. Typical Trader says, James, Ed, what are your thoughts on FSD Pharma? Huge.
Okay. Okay.
Well, huge is a huge trader.
I can only put one chart up at a time.
Got a huge float. It's got huge potential. It's got
huge upside.
Well, we
And
can't really make that categorization.
No, I was trying to tell a joke there.
Oh,
No,
so
no,
that was a preamble to a punchline? I'm all ears, Edward.
Pow!
Ah, that was a punchline. Whoa.
Okay, so let's look at it.
All right.
Here we
Pull
go.
it up. Let's do some technical.
CNSX.
Okay. What's happening? There we go. Ding,
Okay.
ding, 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 ding.
You know, there's a camera in front of that screen. Why is that? What's that right there?
I don't know. Something's going on.
Okay, so let's take a look.
taking a close-up of your forehead.
Clearly, yeah, they're taking a close-up.
They're using that to bounce signals off of back into the control room.
So there's your channel, which was quite steep. That's a 10-day.
Is your NDI not working? There we go. Bing, ding, ding,
there
ding,
it is.
ding,
And
ding.
then now we got there's your top line there. Well, it's starting to break that top line. So maybe we're bottoming here because we've sort of, again, not drawn accurately necessarily, but there's definitely, look at this. Look at this. Holy smokes, I think I'm building a house.
Yeah, or a TP.
TP.
Or you're playing tic-tac-toe.
You know, right now it's been a short-term downtrend, but
so back to the question at hand. What do you think of FSD, Ed? Is it going to continue to go up?
It's backed off quite a bit. Okay, it's backed off from 42 to 33. That's like a quarter of its value.
You know what we should do? I've got an idea.
What?
I say we get Anthony Durkach back in the seat here for an interview. Anthony, if you're watching, we're coming for you.
Yeah,
you're coming back for an interview.
Yeah,
let's get an update.
I'm sure they got lots of rabbits over there, and they're going to pull one out of their sleeve.
Well, they've got a few irons in the fire, as per usual.
I bet you they do. I bet you they do.
All right. Enough of this. Let's check in with our erstwhile editor-at-large. Ben Smith is joining us live all the way from Mississauga. Ben.
Hey guys, how are you?
Good. How are you doing?
Hey, Ben.
Not bad, not bad.
All right. So, Ben, tell us, what are you seeing in the market that you like or dislike?
Well, there's a lot to like in the market right now. Big moves over the past few days in some of the tier 1 cannabis names. Now, it seems that perhaps some of these moves are a little bit showing signs of some FOMOing action here. For example, Canopy Growth increased about $1 billion of market cap just on that New York hemp license alone, and there was several dozen issued. So yeah, there's signs of FOMOing out there, but I feel good for investors. Oversold bounce is long due, and we're just recovering some lost ground here.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. So you think that maybe the cannabis market has gotten a bit ahead of itself then? Do you think that this means that we're going to see a bit of a, well, we've already seen it in the chart for weed, that the angle of attack on the incline has started to drop a bit. Is that what you kind of see happening to the general trend in the cannabis space going into the next week?
Yeah, perhaps. I'm not really ready to make that call right now just because we haven't technically received an hourly low in Canopy Growth yet. So there's still a slope of higher lows taking place, and there hasn't been that lower high on the hourly. And for me, that's really the benchmark of what to look for. So yeah, we could easily go up a little bit more, test the highs, perhaps another 10 or 15%. But when you start seeing market caps increase over $1 billion over a simple, New York hemp license, which was very good news, don't get me wrong. But moves like that are usually not the type that I would look to stake long-term positions when those type of things happen.
Interesting. The Green Growth brand story in relation to their offer for Aphria. What are you gleaning from the sort of universe out there in social media? Is there any sort of dialogue around why it should or shouldn't happen in a credible sort of context? I
think a lot of investors are against it. That's the read that I'm getting. on the Twitter sphere and some of the things I'm reading. And I think that's mainly because there's a skepticism about a smaller company, an MSO, without too much operating history, bidding up their stock to purchase, a tier 1 Canadian name. So nothing like this has really happened before, and no company has raised a concurrent financing to up their stock in order to be able to purchase stock of another company in a takeover. So I think you have some skepticism there, and also some long-term APRIA holders are in a higher price point. So I don't think some are enamored with the $11 all share purchase. It's not even cash at this point; it's just all shares. So then, of course, there's some concern whether, if the bid is approved, whether retail shareholders could get out at that price. So I would say it's mostly negative right now, but let's see if Green Growth Brands ups their bid offer in the coming days, which is rumored that they might do that.
Okay, so when they first made that announcement, Green Growth Brands stock was in the $4 range. And so making a statement that you were going to raise capital at $7 a share or do the transaction at $7 a share was kind of a source of skepticism for many. And so I see kind of two different sort of constructs at work here. AFRIA shareholders want more for their stock than $11. So they're not happy. Green Growth Brands, their share price is continuing to rise. So if I was a Green Growth Brand shareholder, I would be like, well, why are we buying this now? If it's this easy for us to get to $7, why don't we try to do the deal when our stock's at $10 and have a lower cost of capital and less dilution as a result?
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense in a lot of ways. You could look at their appreciation of the share price as not creating a urgent moment to put out the offer now. And there's some word that they were going to put out the offer last week, and they didn't do that. So maybe the delay is somehow tied with the stock price, continuing to go up, which would boost their credibility of the deal if they're able to, bring their common share price closer to that $7 range. But yeah, absolutely. Now, some of the questions I have are whether a brands company makes sense with a company that's really built for CPG. Because under the Cannabis Act, as you know, there are stringent requirements for marketing, promotion, and that type of thing, even if it's done in a country outside of Canada, that you could still be sanctioned and lose your license within Canada. So the one thing that never really made sense to me is, why is a brands company taking over an LP that's about to produce 250,000 kilograms in Canada? So hopefully they can explain that if there is an offer on the table, and get more people on board.
Sure. Well, given the sort of forward-looking and forward-thinking strategic history of the management of Green Growth Brands, if I was a betting man, I would say that they're more or less positioning the company in terms of having a source of supply as well as a brand strategy. They're positioning for a future iteration of the combined entity. That's what I think they're doing. And I don't think they're so concerned with the state of the union right now, as it were, because, as you say, Green Growth Brands as a brand company certainly is not in a position to advertise as a Canadian LP. But as a U.S. brand company, should the states continue to fall to the I'm going to call it the regularization of cannabis laws, then Green Growth Brands increasingly is in a sweet spot to, establish destination brand stores in those markets, as they've demonstrated expertise in doing. The question is how they're going to get the cannabis to those stores in the U.S. from a Canadian LP. That still doesn't make sense to me either. But again, that's why I look at the whole transaction and I think this is an opportunistic play on Green Growth Brands' part to take advantage of the weakness in AFRIA as a result of the the short strategists and the stuff they've published, to position the company for a future strategy. So that's my takeaway on it.
Yeah, you make a good point. About the kilograms being produced up in Canada. Obviously, those aren't transferable. There's no way to bring that cannabis down south. So that's sort of another thing that I'm trying to wrap my head around. But definitely, the company has a great track record, as you say, and I'm sure they're looking 4 steps ahead here, not what the current regulations are right now. It's just my understanding that, what they do in Canada, or if they purchase a company like Aphria, it will actually affect their branding strategies down in America too, because the Cannabis Act is bindable to what LPs do outside the country. So, they have a whole bunch of licenses in Las Vegas and in Nevada, I believe. So, yeah, it's an interesting dynamic for sure.
Finally, Ben, can you shed any light on, are there any opportunities out there you see in any LPs or near LPs or cannabis-related companies that might constitute a discount to its peers in any sector? Any companies out there that are catching your eye that are really flying under the radar right now?
Yeah, there is. There's one in particular, and that's the one I wrote about at the beginning of the year when I talked about the best junior plays of 2019, and that is James E. Wagner Cultivation Corp. I don't believe there's an affiliation there, but I like them for several reasons. First of all, on a valuation basis, the company's only about $70 million valued on a fully diluted basis. Their product doesn't have to be, is not required for irradiation, which is becoming more of a topic in the Twittersphere and out there, because irradiation actually can destroy terpene profiles, which goes into the entourage effect of cannabis. There's the aeroponics growing, and all the growth cycles that they can initiate, up to 6 growing cycles a year. It's very pure. I like the branding strategy because it is not affected by the Cannabis Act. Similar to what happened with Whistler marijuana, medical marijuana, how they got bought out by that $175 million premium by Aurora Cannabis. I think that has that same sort of potential because of the way they're constructed and because of the potential organic certification that the company is looking to receive. That may or may not happen this year, but a lot of catalysts going for it. 32,000 kilograms by the end of the year annualized, and they should be cash flow positive in the next 3 or 4 months when they go from 7 grow rooms to 24. So if you're looking for value, if you're looking for pretty good upside, maybe 2-3 times upside in the next 18-24 months, I would have to say James E. Wagner would be my top play right now.
Good to know.
Hey, Ben, Ed here. What do you think of the move that Tilray had just prior to all that stock becoming free trading? Major move to the upside, and then right on the day it comes free trading, the stock drops almost the same amount.
Yeah, that was interesting. These free trading moves always play out in different ways. And I think what Tilray did and their majority shareholder Privateer Holdings did was actually very brilliant. So they came out on Friday, January the 11th, and they said that basically, they will not be selling in the first half of 2019. And they own about 75 million shares, by far the largest majority shareholder. So that boosted the stock price up, 15, 16%
or something.
It actually broke 100. Yeah, maybe it was even more. Yeah, 20%, something like
25,
that.
25, yeah.
But that doesn't mean that, when the lockout actually occurred on the 15th yesterday, it doesn't mean that that all the shares are going to be locked out. So
exactly.
There's still a few million there. People took advantage of the high prices to bring that back down. But the brilliant part is that Privateer Holdings created this buffer where they created this, sort of artificial, boost in share price, and that was buffered by the fall that occurred when the lockout actually occurred. So the net effect is sort of a break-even point. So it was a good way to get some selling out of the way without having a net effect of the stock price not really moving any place, if that makes sense.
Sure. All right, Ben, that's great. Thanks very much for joining us again today. We'll come back to you next week, and have a great weekend. We'll talk to you soon.
Hope to see you soon, Ben.
Right now, we have joining us live via Skype is Ryan. Oh, I see. Okay, well, in that case, I'm not going to make that statement because we haven't called him yet.
Okay.
In the meantime, Ed, let's talk about Tilray. Tilray was at $107, traded down to $83. The wall of stock did not materialize. because of the aforementioned privateer sort of block that is voluntarily held by billionaires.
Yeah, but do you know how much stock privateer has relative to the stock that came free trading that isn't, that there, in other words, some stock came free trading.
I think privateer's position is a total of 70 million shares. I think that Tilray's total outstanding currently is just over 100 million. So that would make it 30% of the float is not held by privateer. But again, I haven't done the actual deep research to have those facts exactly right, but I know that the majority of stock is held by privateer.
Okay, so here's a 3-month chart of Tilray.
Yes.
And
look at that drop.
Yeah,
precipitous.
Yeah. So let me just.
You do that. In the meantime, I'm going to go look at the SEC filings and see what exactly the.
So there's a trend that broke to the upside, and then a little bit of sideways action, little basing there, and then a big pop just prior to the stock coming free trading, of which privateer, as we've said many times, privateer said, you know, we're not selling it in the first half, so they could June 1 get out of town.
Yeah.
But this little channel here is now broken, and by virtue of these two red candles, it's a hard chart for me to read, to be honest with you. Mm-hmm. Maybe more of a market action situation.
Yeah, well, that's just it. The question from an investment perspective, if it was at 107, it's at 83 now. Is it going back to 107 in the near term from a trader's perspective? But for me, the bigger question is, as a buy and hold kind of guy, is this stock going back to 150 or 300 over the longer term as a result of, like, if you look at all of the announcements that have been made in Tilray over the last 3 months, Novartis, the beer company, the brand strategy with Authentic Brands, you know, the commitment from the privateer shareholder block to stay unsold. I mean, those things all, to me, constitute compressed upward mobility in the share price that has not been expressed in the share price yet.
Yeah, well, how about I take the
opposing view?
Opposing view. So when this thing came out, it was $17, and don't you think that a lot of the people around this deal would be sort of like casual conversations where they said, listen, you got to buy this stock at $17, $20, $25, $30, $35, because there's a lot of stuff coming down the road, which has happened. Mm-hmm. So maybe that's why the thing went from $20 to 150. I don't even want to talk about that one-day spike from 150 to 300 and back to 150, because it was a one-off.
Mm-hmm. Well, it was a one-off. It would have gone much higher if the exchange hadn't stepped in with the circuit breaker.
We don't know that.
Sure, we did it.
No, but we don't know that because
we did it.
What happened
at exactly $300.
But we don't know.
Well,
anyway,
I think the exchange announced that they stepped in. I thought they did anyways.
I would say if you wanted to buy the stock, buy it, but put a stop in it right at that level here. You protect yourself in case it broke that.
Okay.
If it breaks this, I think it's going lower. If it doesn't break it and you own it, keep that stop there. And if it starts to rally, stay with it.
Okay.
There you go.
Say TA 101.
I'm not saying
tits and ass 101. Whoops, did I say that out loud? Oh my goodness. Hey, guess who's here? Guess who's joining us via Skype right now?
Who?
Guess. Mm-hmm. It was part of the lineup.
Yeah, okay.
I actually already said it.
Give me a hint.
Ryan Brown. That's a good hint, eh?
R&B.
R&B.
Rhythm and blues.
Rhythm and blues. Hey, Ryan, how are you doing?
Not bad, James. How are you?
We're doing great, thanks very much. Why don't you give us a quick overview? What has NorthBud got up its sleeve for 2019?
Well, as we disclosed before going public in late October, early November, building a 25,000 square foot indoor production facility, which we've recently amended our application to include 500,000 square feet of outdoor production. We're located on 95 acres of agricultural land just north of Ottawa, in the province of Quebec. And so obviously seeing the developments and the maturation of the space companies focusing on kind of a lower cost, but still decent quality biomass inputs. We made the decision to focus on strategizing for outdoor production as opposed to building additional greenhouse space, which we think gives us a very good functional infrastructure moving forward that'll allow us to cater to both the high-end boutique flower market as well as the edible and derivative market with an all-organic, low-cost biomass.
Wow. So I'm looking at your chart right here on the NDI, and it looks like the market's not really aware of the opportunity inherent in all these developments in North Bud. Is that just a function of the fact that you guys kind of went public just before the whole market went soft, and it just really hasn't had a chance to hear the North Bud story yet because there's all these other bigger companies that are making so much noise?
Yeah, and as a smaller company, unlike a lot of our other junior companies in the space, we really wanted to focus on execution, achieving some milestones before getting out into the public domain and really promoting what we're doing. Obviously, the way we went public by spinning out an asset from an existing publicly traded company, Tetra Biopharma, did give us some eyes on the stock early in our listing, but we really wanted to focus on making sure that we can deliver on the promises that we set out to build a ultra efficient, low cost, but yet highly productive production facility. I think that some transactions that have occurred recently in the space validate our market cap being significantly under comparative companies, both private and public deals that have been done, and so we're starting to ramp up our completion of our facility, onboarding operations staff, and obviously looking, like a lot of companies are doing, looking at potential M&A, whether that be a merger, an acquisition, looking to make use of our vehicle to bring more value into the company, but obviously taking a very slow, methodical, and structured approach as we look at some of these deals, both domestically, internationally, in the U.S., etc.
Very cool. So what specifically are you looking for internationally, just out of curiosity?
Value,
right.
Which is obviously, that's myself personally, I've been investing in and researching the international space since early 2016. So I've been to Lesotho, I've been to the Caribbean, I've been to all the usual suspects, really, taking stock of who's doing what, where the valuations are, where they should be, and ultimately what is the production capacity of some of these new countries that we see coming online. It's great to have a license, it's great to have a land lease, but ultimately, without a buyer, without a route towards revenue, and an operating facility, a lot of these deals are still a roll of the dice that a company our size just isn't quite ready to make yet. We're looking to see some more deals that are kind of entrenched in real value propositions as opposed to arbitrary valuations. And we're starting to see some of those come around now with some of these new countries that are coming online. So pretty excited to see what'll unfold in the rest of the year.
Sure. How is revenue going to scale for North Bud with just the assets that you have now?
Ultimately, that's going to be determined by the licensing process. We're doing everything on our end, working with CCI, working with David Hyde to make sure that the application is continually being updated as some of the goalposts continue to move on this transition from ACMPR to CTLS. Our goal to have our facility operational near the end of Q1 is still within reach, and obviously we'll be ready to hit the ground running. Where we've got genetics lined up to bring in under the new Cannabis Act exemption that allows us to bring in genetics from outside the existing system. And so in a perfect world, we should be licensed shortly after completion of the facility and be able to ramp up revenue relatively quickly. The indoor production facility should yield us between 800,000 and 1 million grams a year, which we believe will be higher end product. Obviously, then focusing on for us, the real revenue generator being the organic outdoor crop that will likely be on the line for the planting season next year. Should yield us anywhere between 10 and 12 million grams per year, 10 or 12,000 kilos per year. of low cost organic biomass.
Fascinating.
So would put our revenue generating to be close to the end of 2019 into early 2020.
Oh, okay, cool. All right, Ryan, that's a great update. We're going to leave it there for now. Thanks very much for joining us today.
Thanks a lot for having me.
We'll talk to you soon. Thanks. Bye. You know, there's a number of these little companies around that they just haven't really had their time in the sun yet, and it's getting harder and harder to carve out. It's like being a sapling in a forest of big old trees. The sun might swing around once in a while if a branch falls off one of these other guys, but the branch might also just flatten you.
Yeah, good point. Well,
you know, but I like these little companies. I like to follow the stories because there's a point coming at which suddenly their time in the sun is going to be here. They're going to exploit some opportunity that the big guys have either said, it's too small for us, and turn it into their
or is a big company going to
all possible.
Yeah.
All possible.
I got to tell you, Juju, by the way, is at 11.5. That's the highest it's been since its fall from grace, and it looks like it's about to break out. I'm just saying. Steve, if you're watching, just saying.
Interesting. Well, that's
it's right there.
That would make my day because
I know it would.
I've been buying it from 9 cents.
Yeah.
And I've got.
Have you bought any higher than 9 cents? What's the sign for?
Well, lots.
Okay.
Lots. But you know what?
Look.
I did sell it on the way down, knowing that I was going to buy it back at the bottom. And I again, this is a coincidence. There's no smarts on my part. I bought it at the bottom. 8 cents. Woo!
Can we say that you have the ability to smell a bottom?
No. Smell a bottom. Oh boy. Oh boy. The level of humor in this joint is just going.
You got to admit, that was pretty good.
The timing was flawless. I'll give you that.
How's James?
Look at that snout. He can smell a bottom a mile away.
He can smell a bottom a mile away.
Jesus.
Yeah. His olfactory sense there is quite efficient.
So let's pull up a chart of Juju and tell me what you're seeing there from a technical side.
Okay.
And I do see that the volume in the last 8 sessions has really perked up from the beginning of the year.
You know, this is where I bought it the first time around, right here. I bought it in a breakout.
Well, if it's been here once, it can be here again.
I feel like jumping in here. What is that? Just remind me, CNX or
CNX, yeah. Juju, CNX.
Okay, here we go. So
here's Johnny.
Here we go.
Here's Juju.
3-month chart, fall from grace. This is up here, look at this trend line. Look at this.
Yeah.
Whoops, that's not. Okay. Just
start again.
I'm going to start right now.
God damn it.
I'm going to do it even better. Whoa, look at this chart.
Whoa.
So look at so blah 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 blah. But look at, you got to click, and point, and action. Downward channel.
Whoa.
Downward channel.
Whoa.
Little base here.
Oh.
Really want to get this thing going into the 12, 13, 14 range.
Well, it's in
get
the right
it into
direction.
some rare it's right here. We got a little move here. How's the volume looking here?
Now you talked to Steve yesterday. What's happening corporately to get this thing
He's
moving in that
got.
direction?
Listen, I'm convinced.
Is he excited? Is he exhibiting excitement?
He's got a lot of energy, and as you know, he has a pretty clean lifestyle.
Well, he's not spending any time in bars.
If he is, he's
drinking tea
and water
and milk.
And
judging by the size of those pipes, he drank a lot of milk as a teenager.
He probably carried a lot of those big cans of milk around.
Well, he's not that old. Big cans of milk.
Anyway.
Oh yeah, you're always stooping for the,
you know what? When I said that, maybe that's where the term big cans come from. Just saying. Anyway.
Hashtags. Anyways, what did you think about that transaction that Wayland did with International Cannabis? Really? Let me repeat that for the guys in the camera. What did you think about the transaction that Wayland Group did with International Cannabis?
I don't know. I'm not sure. I'm not
No,
sure.
but I was already in it. I was in the middle of it. Here's Ben Ward now to walk you through that transaction. Ah! Hey, everybody. I'm here with Ben Ward, CEO of Wayland Group. Ben, welcome back.
Thanks for having me, James. Appreciate it.
Ben, that was quite the awesome press release you guys put out January 15th, where you have sold 49.9% of your international portfolio of assets to International Cannabis Corp, valuing the entire European business at US $258 million. What is the compelling reason for selling half of your business to another company?
Selling the half of the business to ICC gets us a broader framework and completes our vertical integration that we've been seeking across all the aspects of the value chain. So we now have an EU GMP compliant pharmaceutical manufacturing facility in Greece, a federal license in Denmark, which we'll be developing to give us certainty of product for the EU outside of Canada. And then it also gives us broad distribution. We signed, as part of the agreement, a 10,000 kg supply agreement to Cosmos and as part of ICC. And now that brings us up to about 39,000 kgs over 3 years with distributors in Europe, where we get a higher margin for the product.
No, interesting. So is the revenue split from the business essentially going to emulate perfectly the ownership split?
Yeah, the revenue split will equal the ownership split, and the profit will be split that way. What we will have is the ability to receive a base cost for our product in Canada that we ship to do Europe, and then we'll have a profit share on that with ICC. So
Okay.
it'll look a little better on the Wayland.
Sure. Okay. What are the hurdles that have to be crossed for this deal to close?
We've already done the due diligence in Greece. We're impressed with the facilities and the operations there. And we'll be moving ahead with due diligence in Bulgaria, Denmark, and then in Poland as well. Those are the places that we have yet to see. Our team was in Colombia last week, so there's really little to do left on the diligence side of things.
Okay. And so will it take a shareholder vote to complete the transaction or regulatory approval?
No, it won't. It's not a fundamental change for ICC, hence a minority position, and so there's no shareholder approval required.
Right. Okay. So ICC's issuing 300 million of their own shares to you. How has the effect been on your shareholders? Are they generally very excited about this transaction, I would imagine?
Yeah, our shareholders are excited about the transaction, and they see a lot of value. And by splitting the commercial developments of the business with ICC strictly focused on international medical wellness cannabis, and then the Canadian division focused on production, and then the rec market, it makes a lot of sense to people to have the split naturally that way.
Right. Okay. So then, this is a case where you're basically going to have a whole other management team to help you with the rollout of the European sort of development, which comes with its obvious sort of synergies and accretive benefits. Do you see that the relationship with International Cannabis is going to be accretive in other ways to the entire relationship?
Yeah, we're taking our management team in Europe. Morten Brandt will be leading the charge for ICC, and our current GM for Germany, Joseph Spate, will be running operations. And then we pick up some great talent in the extraction and isolate areas within the Polish operation and Serbian operations of ICC. So it's a natural fit for us. And then our Swiss team in cultivation will be able to assist and help the groups in Denmark, Poland, and in the other places where they're working, and bring some of our efficiency. So we really gain rationalization of the business. We can take, instead of purchasing bulk supply of CBD from others and some of the contracts that have been put in place, we can now supply that to ourselves. So instead of purchasing from another group in Serbia, we can provide our own product that we have in Germany already that we had from our harvest last year.
Interesting. Can you elaborate a bit more on the distribution channels that you have access to as a result of this combination?
Yeah, we now have access to over 27,000 pharmacies thanks to Cosmos' existing distribution network. So that gets us into almost every shelf across Western Europe.
Wow, that's fascinating. So those pharmacies are all in areas where cannabis has been licensed for medical use?
They have some distribution in areas that cannabis has not been licensed for medical use. They have distribution over 60,000 pharmacies total. I'm just quantifying the ones that are within the population centers in the countries where we'll be working, which is around 390 million people.
Wow. So it sounds like sales are really going to, or at least the potential for sales to really take off is substantial at this point, and with such a distribution.
Yeah, we'd have to look at purchasing a distributor if we wanted to gain the same type of opportunity. Afria purchased CC Pharma in a $72 million deal. Other groups have partnered with other groups who are wholesalers, and they've ended up giving up a more significant margin than we would hope to. So we see this as an opportunity to pair assets, pair companies where there's not a lot of overlap, and to join them together and gain significant distribution.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. So Ben, tell me about how that affects the North American operations. What's the sort of upside of this transaction for the North American assets?
The upside of the transaction for the North American assets is 10,000 kgs more going to Europe a year at a higher margin than we're able to get from the provinces. And then in addition to that, what we gain is focus and management focus on the recreational market in Canada and then future opportunities in the United States. It's tough to be everything to everyone if we look at the Canadian market, the way it's gone. It's basically a tobacco industry now, or similar to the tobacco industry in Canada. The only similarity it has to alcohol is the sales distribution channel. So when we look at that business being shaped that way, we have a lot of talent on the pharmaceutical side. We've developed talent on the extraction, isolate side, product formulation. And in Canada, we're still at a very early stage in product development, only allowing raw extract, all natural extracts, no isolates. So we can take our existing learning, our ideas, and our learning, take that to Europe, and then really be able to amplify that and use the expertise that we've developed in the organization. So 5 years of learning, transplant that to Europe, take our existing management team in Europe who have existed and worked in the life sciences pharmaceutical sector, and move through that process. Canada is somewhat of an anomaly in the recreational legalization of cannabis from a federal standpoint. And in some areas where Canada has developed and moved ahead with recreational legalization, that's been great for people to have that decriminalized in areas, but to be legalized completely in Canada. And the real point of this is legalization in Canada is a dry flower market. It's an all-natural extract market. And so there's not much more opportunity within the regulations now where they are to really be world leaders in that stage unless we have a different platform. So we're taking that platform to Europe to further develop it, and that will be value for all of Wayland shareholders. But we're just moving beyond what is a Health Canada prescribed business model. We can't exist and remain in that type of business model. We have to continue to push forward like we have been and have a rational business with different cost centers all over the world. Wow.
Well, it sounds like you've really evolved this whole international opportunity in your thinking, Ben. It's an intriguing transaction, and it sounds to me like it could be extremely accretive to the bottom line for Wayland Group. So we're going to follow this story very closely, and we look forward to visiting some of your assets here in 2019 with our crew in Europe and in Canada. So wishing you the best of luck, and thanks very much for the update.
Great. We look forward to having you and showing by your great videos all of the assets and what we're doing here.
Sounds great, Ben. We'll see you soon.
Okay.
Good Lord. What? Did you know, Ed?
What?
No, you tell me.
Okay, for instance, did you ever have a case of laryngitis?
Hey, my good dog.
So what isn't functioning properly when you have laryngitis?
Your voice.
No, there's a thing in your throat that they call something.
Tonsils.
Nope.
Trachea. Esophagus.
You're getting close.
Pharynx.
Not pharynx.
Far East. Farting.
Larynx. Your larynx, Ed. Your larynx isn't
but
working.
You
nice.
thought it was your larynx. Yeah, you did.
No.
Because we went through this earlier.
No.
You're trying to
What are
make
you
me look
talking about?
stupid.
You said larynx, and I said no, Ed. It's larynx.
It's larynx.
And you're like,
It's-
I
most
didn't
people
know
think
that.
it's your larynx. They do.
Your larynx.
It's
pronounced larynx. Ed.
It's pronounced larynx.
No. If you don't know what you're larynxing, it's pronounced larynx. Okay? So what's the opposite of the larynx?
Pharynx. What are you talking
The phoenix.
The phoenix is the
Yes.
opposite of the larynx.
The phoenix.
No,
is
it's
the,
not phoenix. It's phoenix.
Oh boy. We better look at some charts here.
Okay, let's look at some
Ed,
charts.
Would you do me a favor and pull up a chart of green growth brands?
GGB.
GGB on
And-
the CNX.
Okay, yeah, I'd like to know the exchange, okay, just to make it a little simpler for me.
Yeah. Well, we want to make things simple for Ed.
GGB, CNX.
Yeah.
Okay, here's our 6-month chart. We don't really need 6 months here, but let's go with 3. Okay, there's a good chart. Wow, that's impressive. And weren't you accumulating this down in here? Just saying, just asking.
Yes, I did.
Okay, just a minute.
But when they came out with that announcement,
You thought you were.
well, let's
I
just
hear
say
you.
that
I
I
hear
was when they came out with an announcement at 4.25 saying they're going to do this deal at $7, I was like, you know what, I'm going to get out of the way of this thing because I gotta see some show me.
Now, what was the issue price? Because this thing opened dramatically below its issue price, right?
Not dramatically. The issue price was wasn't it $4?
Okay.
Well, look at that first candle. What you
Anyway,
should tell me?
Yeah, but it doesn't tell you where the issue price was. That just tells you where it opened.
Well, what usually it opens at
No, we saw that with that run. Remember when the markets were really shitty?
Yep.
And Canaccord
Last week?
did all those deals
2 weeks ago.
and a lot of them have come back to Canaccord.
Oh, you mean they opened way lower than the issue price?
That's right. That's what I'm saying.
Oh,
but
okay.
here, look at this. There's a definite, except for that first day.
Yes.
And then we broke that pattern.
Yes.
The base, the little base here. And here we are.
Look at that
Now,
steepness.
I think this thing is still in an upward trend.
Yeah.
But if it gets down back here under, say, 560, 550, and it briefly touched here and rallied back, I think we're coming into a bit of resistance in the space. That's my take. I'm just
Resistance in the space or resistance in green growth brands?
in the space, which
You mean in like outer space?
resistance in outer space. That might be a good. Well, there was the French resistance.
In outer space?
No, that was in Europe.
That was continental. In
That
nature.
was continental. Yeah.
Continental. Do you know what it's? You know what the condition is called when you can't hold your continent?
It's called wet your pants.
Incontinent.
And you know where the condition is when you're on land?
Terrestrial.
On continent.
On continent. Oh, that's pathetic. That's just really.
Okay. So what else do you want to see?
What I want to see is the markets close, and when the markets close in 35 seconds.
52 seconds.
Helen has a
51
question.
Seconds.
James, do you still hold Boss you bought last week? Helen, indeed I do.
Boss.
Yeah, I bought 10,000 shares of Boss.
I got some Boss gloves.
Yes, I do, and so I am observing the fact that I'm down like $600 or $800 on the transaction, but
big
I'm one of
spender.
those people that buys stock just because that's how I pay attention. If I don't own it, I don't care. So I have to buy the stock just to remind myself
you should
that
buy
I'm paying attention.
You know what? Then you should be buying at least a board lot of every stock.
No, that would be
that's
equivalent to owning nothing.
They're really playing because Canopy's really overbought here.
Yes.
But based on the RSI.
Yes.
Not my judgment, just saying on that.
Well, but it's closed at 455.68, up 78 cents.
I'm just saying.
That's the close, Ed. Woo! Ding, 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 ding.
You know, that dinging is actually coming from your head.
I thought so.
Yeah,
I had a clapper in there. I had a clapper installed when I was very young. And now I just go like this a bit and I hear ringing of bells. Ding, 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 ding. I can call a whole group for dinner.
Really?
Yeah.
Like, so, yeah, you can...
Ed, do you know what the biggest short squeeze in history was?
I'm going to say that thing that the Big Short.
The Big Short. That's your guess?
Probably not.
So that's the housing market from 2000.
I don't know. I don't know.
Well, we're going to find out right now.
Let's find out.
Here's something that we found really interesting. The biggest short squeeze of all time is Volkswagen. It is. The car company became the world's priciest firm in over a day of trading. Volkswagen was believed to be an independent entity in the manufacturing industry, and the market held a bearish outlook on the company's prospects. As a result, it was victim to an unusually high number of short sellers. Then, on October 28, 2008, Porsche announced it had a 74% ownership share in Volkswagen and was taking over its operations. This came with no warning. Porsche accomplished this in the derivatives market over time. And suddenly, chaos. People and institutions fought to liquidate their short positions as fast as they could. The company was up over 93% at its highest point. That's interesting. And punch buggy red.
Hey, we're back in studio, and right now with me I've got Scott Hurd. He's the co-founder and CEO of Westleaf Cannabis, trading on the TSX Venture under the symbol WL. Scott, welcome to our little show.
Thanks for having me.
Scott, give us an overview. What is Westleaf Cannabis all about?
So Westleaf is one of the very few truly vertically integrated cannabis companies.
That's a bold statement.
And what I mean by that is we own or control assets across the entire cannabis value chain. So starting with production and cultivation, we have a large scale, about 115,000 square foot production facility under construction in Battleford, Saskatchewan. We have one of Canada's largest processing, extraction, R&D, manufacturing, and fulfillment centers located in Calgary. And really the cornerstone of our vertically integrated strategy is what we're doing on the retail distribution. And the reason we think retail is so important is really two reasons. Number one, the federal packaging and advertising restrictions in Canada are so restrictive that, in our opinion, licensed producers today are effectively selling an undifferentiated product. 70% of the packaging is Health Canada warning labels. You get a rather small allocation for a benign brand element. They restrict the color, the size. And then you compound that with the fact that licensed producers can't use traditional advertising mediums to reach consumers. And what you have is a market that's incredibly difficult to build brands aligned with consumers.
Right.
So our thesis has been it's through the retail distribution that you get the best opportunity to control the consumer experience and ultimately help shape and influence their purchasing habits, to buy our products, to create brand equity, and ultimately create demand pull through our vertically integrated supply chain.
Interesting. So what is your retail presence?
So currently we're doing about 30 retail locations across Canada.
30?
Correct.
Really? In which provinces?
Saskatchewan, Alberta, and BC.
Wow.
We should have north of 20 operational in 2019. And what's really unique about our retail strategy is our approach to retail. So we did a competitive analysis of the Canadian cannabis retail landscape, and we saw two things. The first is that it was highly undifferentiated, and the second was that we could really group our competitors into two distinct buckets. So on one end of the spectrum, we saw everyone trying to be the Apple Store of cannabis.
Right.
And on the and when you look at a lot of our competitors and you ignore their color palette and their logo, the in-store experience is functionally the exact same. On the other end of the spectrum, there's these groups that are reinforcing the stigma that we're trying to get away from as an industry in general, and that's that Cheech and Chong head shop-like feel. So we recognized a tremendous white space opportunity to do something unique and do something different. And so we worked with a creative design firm to come up with our cannabis retail concept, which is called Prairie Records.
Okay.
And what Prairie Records is a reinvention of the cannabis purchasing experience that leverages the instinctual tie of recreational cannabis and music in a sophisticated yet approachable environment that appeals to a wide variety of consumers.
That's interesting, because you said Prairie Records. My first thought was, sounds like a record store. And that immediately got me thinking of, well, almost 9 times out of 10 when I went to a record store as a young person, I was high, which is hilarious.
Well, everybody has a relationship with music.
Sure.
And it's through that relationship and Prairie Records that we think we can align with in a way with consumers that our competitors can't. And so the Canadian cannabis retail experience is unlike any other retail experience in the world. And what I mean by that is it's so highly restrictive that when you come into the store, there's no product on the floor, everything's behind lock and key, there isn't really great opportunities to merchandise. So the problem facing all retailers today is how do you create a unique and engaging retail experience that's tangible and educational for the consumer? And that's what we deliver with Prairie Records. So when you come into our stores, you'll find all of the traditional mediums you'd find in the Apple Store of cannabis. You'll find the digital menu billboards. You'll find the sales associates with iPads. But we take it one step further, and when we call it Prairie Records, we actually utilize records as a medium to create a tactile and engaging and educational experience for the consumer.
Like vinyl records.
So I actually brought a couple of them today. So we're partnered with Tilray.
Okay.
And this is actually the Tilray High Park brand. And what we've done in stores, we've taken all of those elements that Tilray and High Park would have wanted to put on the packaging, but they can't because of the packaging restrictions, and we put it on a record in store. And what this does is it gives dimension to the brand. It provides an opportunity to co-curate content with them, to talk about the effect of the product or the flavor profile of the product.
And is there music in there?
There actually is an album in here.
Great. What band?
Well, it's not a real album. It's just an album that's branded.
Oh, okay.
But you can't. Well, you could listen to it. It's actually an old vinyl record of sorts.
Wow, that's cool. Well, that's such a clever idea. I can understand why Tilray would partner with you, because they're kind of sort of visionary in that regard. That's amazing. So I'm going to be in BC next week. Is there a store in Vancouver?
We don't have any stores open in BC yet. We actually have a store opening next week in Warman, Saskatchewan, which is about 10 minutes from the Saskatoon airport.
Might be worth a little side trip.
Well, we'll invite you out for the grand opening on February 7th.
Sure. Well, that's really interesting. This is the most unique and original approach I've heard to the idea of retailing cannabis in Canada. So A, I'm super impressed. B, I can't wait to visit a store. C, I'm curious as to, like, how are you going to overcome the restrictions on advertising and marketing? I mean, it's a great thing to open a retail physical presence and location, yes, but what are the restrictions on signage, on advertising in publications, on putting a sign in the window saying something's on special? Is all of that off the table at this point?
Yeah, it is quite restrictive, and most of the advertising is targeted. You have to utilize mediums that are targeted to 18 or 19 plus. So really your best opportunity to advertise is actually inside a brick and mortar retail store. And it's through the whole record concept where we can really dimensionalize brands and bring these brands to life in store and help consumers align with products of our own and that of our strategic partners, which includes Tilray and Vivo.
Wow, that's interesting. So does this approach to retailing cost you anything more than any other approach to retailing?
Not really. I would say our strategy skews to a more premium end, just in how we're designing and building our stores. So our strategy has really been to locate our stores in very high traffic areas, densely populated areas, resort areas, and so we're skewing to the higher end with it.
Do you have any plans to migrate to the United States when laws make it that possible?
I mean, we're really focused on executing in 2019. As I mentioned, we're building upwards of 30 retail stores. We're operationalizing a lab and processing facility and a large-scale cultivation facility. So the focus is on execution, but also looking at international opportunities where we can expand our brand over time when we're ready.
Very cool. Scott, that's one of the best stories I've heard this year so far, for sure, if not the best retailing story I've heard yet. So we're going to follow this story closely. Thank you very much for coming in and giving us a heads up on this. And I'm going to come out and visit you at one of your stores as soon as I possibly can.
Fantastic. Well, thanks for having me.
You bet. Ed gave an education to some eager investment students in the office. Here's Weed Stocks 101.
Morning, class. My name is Mr. Ed Milewski. But you don't have to call me, just call me Mr. Ed. Young fella, how you doing?
Good. What's this all about?
This is Weed Stock 101, and I'm your instructor.
Oh,
Now, where's all your friends? That's what I want to know.
I was just in here
Sleeping?
having a nap.
Okay. Well, here we are.
So what
What do you want to know?
what are we learning?
Okay, so this is going to be about buying weed stocks. Anything you want to know about how do you invest in a weed company? Okay? You with me?
No.
Yeah. Do you have a discount broker?
Discount broker?
Yeah.
Like from Kmart?
No, from Walmart.
Oh,
No, from Bank of Montreal or TD Bank.
no.
Commissions are a lot lower in a discount broker, so you might be, cost conscious. So you want to save some money? Use a discount broker. But you have to open up an account. You have to put some money in the account. Then you tell the broker, or you can do it online and dispense with the broker. It's a lot cheaper. Okay? Why are you still wearing that hat?
Well, I can't wear a hat?
No, it's a little rude.
Jesus.
What's going on here? Come on.
Well, I didn't expect this class to be happening.
Like, let's take a company here. Like, do you know any marijuana companies? Do you have any knowledge of any of them?
Yeah, I started focusing on Canopy when they were.
Okay, that's a good one. That's the biggest one
It
in
was
Canada.
like maybe two.
Yeah. So
Two
Canopy
and a half
Growth.
at the
Canopy.
time. And I would have had a lot of money if I had invested.
Yeah, no kidding.
Don't even like to
Ticker
think.
is weed. Okay.
Right?
So let's say you have your account set up. You want to call up your broker, or you want to do it online. You want to put in a buy order to buy some stock.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you have to. Are you computer literate?
Yeah.
Are you?
Yeah.
How
Not
old
that
are you,
old.
anyway?
I know.
You look pretty. You look like you've been around the track.
Well, I have, but I mean, I can use a computer.
So let's take an amount of money you want to invest.
Right.
Let's say Canopy's trading for around $50 a share, $55 a share. So if you want to buy 200 shares, it's going to cost you roughly $11,000. Okay? So you put an order in on the computer to buy. You've got the money in the account. You put an order in. But you don't have to put it in at $55. You could put it in at $53 if you thought it was going to drop. But if you really thought it was going to go up, you'd say, I want to buy it right now at the market. So there's a market order, right? Market order or a limit order. You know the difference between a market order and a limit order?
No.
So market order, you're buying it, whatever it is at that time. Okay?
Okay.
Limit order is you're specifying a price. You don't want to pay any more than this.
Okay.
And you can put it in for the day, a day order, or you can put it in good till cancel. Or you can say, I want to do it for the week. Okay? Let's say you punch it up on your computer and you say, Canopy is, let's say it's 55.10 to 55.25.
Right.
There's somebody willing to sell you at 55 and a quarter, and there's a buyer at 55.10. You say, okay, I want to buy at the market, and the market right at that point means that you're paying 55 and a quarter. If you're a seller, and you say sell at the market, you don't get 55 and a quarter. You get the bid. Bid and asked. And notice my name's at the end of asked. Are you chewing gum?
Yeah.
That's awfully rude. I mean, the hat was rude, but this is especially rude. No chewing gum in a class, okay? It's very distracting.
I didn't know this was a
You know what? I
class.
think you should put it on your nose, just to give you an idea.
Seriously?
Why wouldn't you? What are you afraid of? Jeez. There you go. There you go. This is good. This is really good. Now you see how you look?
What does this have to do with the class?
I think you need a little discipline in your life. Okay. So you buy your stock.
I buy my stock.
Now what do you want to do? You want to sell it right away? Maybe you're a day trader. Are you a day trader? There, get rid of your gum.
A day trader. So if it's day trading, then you go in, you buy in the morning, and you sell.
Yeah. Well, you can
when it's
buy-
hot.
Yeah, but you can
Right.
buy it at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. You could sell it at 2 in the afternoon.
Right.
So this thing's bouncing around, right? It's moving all the time. It has a life.
Right. The takeaway I'm getting from this is that if I wanted to invest, I'd have to have something in an account, obviously, and then go to a specific.
I have an account with a broker.
Right.
But you know, if you're unless you have a lot of money, you probably should do it yourself.
Right.
Maybe do a little research. Speak to your bank, open a discount broker, but you have to put the money up. You can't do it without putting money up.
That was a little fuzzy there from you waking me up.
Yeah. You have a big night last night?
No.
No?
No.
Okay, so what do you think?
What do I think about what?
You want to invest in this?
In cannabis?
Yeah. It sounds to me that you don't have a lot of knowledge here.
So what would you suggest?
There's a lot to this. There's a lot to this. And I realize that you're a bit of a neophyte investor.
Yeah.
And I've been around this business now 40 odd years. I realize that when markets get hot and the money starts to rush in, the average guy really doesn't have a chance because he has no idea of what's going on. They're fucked. They're so fucked, they don't know how fucked they are. They're basically fucked, if you know what I mean. And that ends with ED, by the way. I get the impression, Sean, that you didn't really do any homework for this class. I suggest you go home, do some homework. I'm out of here.
Homework.
Weed stock.
Yeah. Weed.
Weed stock.
Weird.
Weird? That was so weird. I never seen anything that weird in my life. What the hell was that, Ed?
Oh.
You were trying to educate Sean on
How to buy weed stock. Weird.
that was
Weird.
the most disjointed, hilarious kind of.
Well, you know what? We're trying to throw light at life in a sense too, like it's not all seriousness.
That was wacky.
Wacky debacky.
We got a guy from Texas.
Yeah.
It says, when is Curaleaf going to be on the show and we got to go down and see their dispensaries? Curaleaf? Why hasn't Curaleaf been on our show yet? If you have the answer, Ed, you win a prize. Why hasn't Curaleaf been on the show? Time's up.
Maybe.
Because we haven't invited them yet.
I was just, you know what? That's what I was going to say. I swear I was going to say because we haven't invited them.
See, you're just a little bit too
Jesus,
slow.
I'm pissed off now.
Little too slow.
Pissed off. P-I-S-S-E-D. Pissed.
Woo. You know what I'd like to know, Edward, and you might want to open your computer for this.
Okay.
Is
I
what
like
was the
opening my
best performing stock today of all the cannabis stocks?
To date?
Today. In intraday. What was the best performing cannabis stock of the day?
You know, I bet you there wasn't. I'm gonna take a wild guess. I'm gonna say there wasn't one up more than 20% today.
Ooh.
On your Midas indices.
Ooh. Well.
Am I wrong?
Are you wrong? Let's see.
Are you wrong?
We're going to look at percent gainers. Okay. Should that be our criteria?
Percent gainers, yeah.
So the biggest percent gainer in the cannabis space, look at all these massive percent gainers of people who are basically just shells.
Yeah.
So we got a company down here.
It's got to have some volume, though. It can't be a one trade.
Yeah.
What do you got?
Move my hand.
There's District Copper. District Copper's up big. What are you doing?
Oh, I see.
Oh,
I'm communicating with God again. Don't mind me. Let's see. Biggest change. If there is any change in the weather. Hold on. It's going to take me a minute to put this up properly. Okay. Oh, what the hell is going on here? I can't even see those little nuggets of. Oh,
yeah.
Oh, I don't have.
I should stand up straight because I got bad posture.
Yep, bad posture. I don't think I've got cannabis.
I got bad
here.
breath and I got bad posture.
Ooh, that's a bad combination.
Ooh. When you see me scrimming in my seat, that's usually a sign of, some bottom action.
Oh, bottom action. You can smell a bottom how far away?
A mile away.
A mile away. Okay, so on the large cap stocks, the best performer. Now I'm sure you want to know this, Ed. Hold on.
Okay.
Loading. Processing.
Okay.
Processing.
I want to know. I took a wild guess. I say there wasn't one that was up 20%. But it had to have some volume.
Boy, that's a big.
Okay, let's say I'm going to change it now. I'm going to go to 12%.
Okay, so the biggest large cap was that one today was Aurora Cannabis, put on 4.63%, up 43 cents to $9.72. Now, in the small cap universe, the best performing stock we're going to see is
Wayland.
Hold on, change percent, Namaste, up 3%, $1.39, up 4 cents.
Okay.
You okay with that?
Okay.
So going back now, let's see what about the venture, which was the best performing venture stock today. And in that case, we've got Invictus MD Strategies tacked on 6.36%, up 7 cents to close at $1.17 today. Not bad at all.
Why don't we take a look at the
CSE,
the mining space?
Well, let's just finish off this little exercise here.
Let's not jump.
CSE, now this is where I think the biggest gain is going to be on the day, and sure enough, we hit the, look at that. Benchmark Botanics put on 17.95% today to close at 46 cents.
Yeah, and what's the volume?
I don't have the volume right here.
Click on the symbol.
Let me, the share volume was 76,800. But the second biggest volume price leader on the CSE today was our Juju.
It hit 12.
It closed at 12 cents, put on 2 cents, up 15% on 4.3 million shares traded.
Does that put a smile on your dial?
It puts a smile on something. There we go. There's the smile of the day. Right away.
Well, that's impressive. And you know what? This is where I started to buy it the last time, and I got it way too soon, but I didn't go back.
You didn't?
No, but now I'm thinking of reloading. Well,
Juju's showing some signs of life here. The last time this thing took off, it went from 8 cents up to 30 cents.
Well, you know what? We had him on yesterday, so we can be honest. We can say to our audience.
Did you ask Steve when you had him here? Did you say, Steve, is this stock about to do what it did the last time we were buying it?
You know, I don't think that's the CEO's
purview.
That's not in his sort of
job description. Recommended.
In his purview.
Nothing slow about you. Yes, not in his purview.
No, I would like to talk to a technical analyst to ask that question.
Oh, somebody without skin in the game.
No, someone that can look at a chart objectively.
But has no skin in the game.
Skin in the game, yeah. It's better not to have the skin in the game to get a true. Because can I say something?
You can say it.
Before I bought it,
yes.
I looked at the chart and I looked at it. I said, this thing's about to break out.
Really?
And it was a hotter market.
You didn't tell me that.
You bought it too.
Oh, back then.
That was back then when you wouldn't even.
Actually, that's why I bought it, because you brought it to our attention.
You didn't even know that I existed back then.
What do you mean I didn't know you existed?
Well, you treated me like...
I've known you existed for years.
Okay.
Decades even.
Existed. Exist Ed.
Exist Ed. Don't you remember when we used to do those podcasts in my living room back in 2014?
What?
Yeah. You don't remember?
When I say what, how do you know that the control guys, I'm not talking to them and I'm not talking to you?
I don't know. Maybe you're saying what to me.
Okay.
Anyways.
Okay, let's stand straight, sit straight.
Now, who are the biggest losers in the cannabis world today?
If I drew a big L on my forehead right now, would that mean that I was?
Well, you're not really in the cannabis space as a public company issuer.
Why don't...
So there's nothing that the biggest loser in the cannabis space on the CSE was Global Cannabis. APP is the symbol, but it's only a 10-center, lost 16.67.
You know what? I gotta do something for the viewers, and this is a really important thing I gotta show everybody because.
Ruh-roh.
Okay. I gotta get my glasses. So I wanna point out something here.
Okay. Is this like one of those universal truths that never changes?
there's two things I'm going to show you here. Okay.
What do we got? Whoa.
This is the HMJ ETF, Horizon ETF for our space, okay?
Okay.
And I would show, but look at this. Ladies and gentlemen, please pay attention. This could save you some money. We had a big move here to the downside. And I remember, and I was saying, this has really been, and you were saying, well, you're saying we're getting near a bottom.
What company are we talking about here?
This is the ETF.
Oh, the HMMJ, right? Okay, yeah.
And I say, back to your ability to smell a bottom. Okay, you were pointing out to me that all the things were in place.
Yeah.
For a nice bottom.
Yeah, and what do we get?
Well, here's what we got. We got this.
Woo! That's a nice bottom, all right.
And look at this.
That smells good.
Now, I'm gonna say this out here. If this line, and these lines aren't drawn precisely.
Are you going out on a limb?
Yeah, I may be going out on a limb. I think that if this thing breaks that line, because this line is quite, what would be the right word? It's quite distinct, right? There's a very distinct pattern there.
Yes.
Then we may be beginning a bit of a downward move, even though today's candle was green. Now, coupled with that, I want to bring out this important fact.
Okay.
Okay, just a minute. Click. Let's go look at the S&P.
Okay.
Okay.
Show me, oh wise one.
Just call me Obi.
Difficult to see the future it is.
Jeez. You know what? If I didn't know it, I'd say that little rascal was underneath the table. Where are you, though? What?
That's
okay.
the what they do.
Okay.
Fall they must afterwards. Use the force.
Okay, here we go. Now, if you look at this, there is a bit of. This is that. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Okay. There was the. Let's try it again.
Oh, boy, that little sketcher is a little sketchy,
isn't it?
There we go.
There was the level it broke,
Boy.
and you can see one of the steepest drops.
Precipitous?
Oh,
most precipitous.
Extremely. And then,
near vertical.
And then, extremely oversold. And I remember talking to a lot of my friends saying, we're in big trouble. I said, listen, we're so oversold. Chances are we're going to get a bounce. Because I used to short these moves and keep shorting and get my ass handed to me on a silver platter. Well, not a silver platter, a platter of coal.
Right.
Yeah.
A pewter platter.
Pewter platter.
A pewter platter.
A pew.
Beauty.
And we've had this. Look at this. Look at this move. Okay.
What
and I think if this thing,
I can't see anything. NBI's not up.
I want to isolate.
Oh, there we go.
Okay, so I want to isolate this last little candle here today.
Okay.
And usually, not always, but lots of times, changes in direction are usually the candles are very small. Like they're sort of like doji candles. Okay, they close near where they open, but there's a bit of a range, but not big. Okay, you say, wow, what are you talking about? I'll tell you what I'm talking about.
What are you talking about?
I'll tell you what I'm talking about.
Tell me what you're talking about.
Look at here. Right before this move, we have a cross candle like that.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Right before this drop.
Yes.
And now, look at this. Look at this.
What?
We got one here too.
Oh.
Okay, so I'm just saying, and now we're back to this. Okay, so look where that candle is.
Yes.
And look at this. What? What?
Hey.
There we go. There's that line.
Okay.
And that. Okay. So I get a funny feeling that this line here, where right across here, around 2640, is going to be very, very. I see that as resistance. Now, that doesn't mean we can't come down here, get down here, and then back up and go through, make a W. But a lot of these bottoms don't seem to be V's. Like this is a V, right? I'm just saying, I wouldn't be surprised if we're now due for some, I'm throwing it out there, I think we're due for some corrections.
Well, that's interesting, Ed. So
I don't have
be
any.
ready with the stop losses.
Look, if you've just made a lot of money, don't get too greedy here. Take some off the table. Take some. You can always come back.
On that note, coming up tomorrow, we have Brent Charlton is going to be here. He's the CEO of Enwave. We have Alfred Wong here, CEO of Micron Waste, who makes the, oh damn, I forgot the name. I was part of the contest again and I already forgot it, but it's the, it's the machine that eats all the waste from the cannabis plants. Whoever remembers the name of that machine wins a prize.
Wins a joint.
The CEO of Yield Growth Corp, which I actually am a shareholder in, is going to be here tomorrow. That's Penny Green.
I've met Penny Green.
I've never met Penny Green. I'm looking forward to it.
You know, like when
she's a bit of a mover and a shaker.
When pennies were made out of copper and they oxidized, they sort of had that greenish tinge.
Hue?
So Penny Green.
Penny Green. Anyways, there's our show for today. Don't forget to like us and subscribe to our newsletter at MidasLetter.com. And don't forget to hit that little notification button and you'll hear whenever we have something smart to say on YouTube.